Yoda, what should I do with this Land Cruiser I don't drive anymore?
Donate, you must.
Yoda's right. Right now you can donate your vehicle to the National Federation of the Blind by calling 866-282-7327. That's 866-282-7327. Or if you know a blind person who needs help, please email nfb@nfb.org.
A tax deduction you will receive.
And it doesn't take the Force to be charitable.
Welcome back to Our Voices on the voice of Nassau Community College 90.3 WHPC. My name is Natasha Nurse, and my guest today is Stephen Hart, brand alignment strategist, podcaster, and entrepreneur. So I do want to shift gears a little bit to talk a little bit about the podcast world, right? So it seems like podcasts are like on fire, right? But podcasts have been around for quite a long time. Why do you think this is like the new age kind of revolution of media and how people are connecting with consumers, with brands, etc.?
Great question. So I think there are a couple of things that created the perfect storm for podcasting. One is the smartphones in our pockets. We are now able to access things when we want it, right in our pockets. And in large part, people have always embraced the power of story, right? The simplicity of story goes back to caveman days, right? So story doesn't burn a lot of calories, and we can relate to someone and we can derive inspiration and wisdom while we're engaged in other activities with podcasting. And I think that's strong because if you're to sit with other content mediums, if you're watching a video, you have to be engaged in watching that video. If you're reading a blog post, you need to be seated or, somewhere reading a post. With a podcast, you can plug your earbuds in and you can hit play, put the phone in your pocket, and keep going and doing what you normally would do. So it's funny, I'll find listeners of mine that are consuming my content while they're working, doing something monotonous, right? Or at the gym or in the car on a commute home. You can't drive and watch a video, or you shouldn't. Or, so I think the power of podcasting is the fact that you have on-demand audio when you want it, and it's story, whether it's a solo or an interview style. At the core, great podcasts are telling great stories, and it's a great way to consume content.
Okay. And have you had any surprises since starting Trailblazers.fm? Like, did you expect the show to go a different direction than it went? Or were you surprised by maybe some of the answers or the interactions you've had with the people you've interviewed?
I'd say probably a surprise. Well, I did not expect it to go as wide as it did. So we've been heard in 110 countries around the world. I mean, there are countries that download our content that I can barely pronounce. And it's surprising to me how far-reaching the content has got, right? So that's been a surprise to me. Also, just there's some of the conversations and some of the people that I've been able to connect to we're 2 years and 8 months in. And some of the people I would personally not have probably reached out to for a few more years, thinking, there needed to be time. And so there's been some great interviews that we've had that were amazing to me. And the fact that I have had that opportunity to speak to some of these people have been amazing.
Phenomenal. Okay. And who would you say inspires or motivates you other than your children and your family? Are there people in media that you look to and you're like, yes, that's exactly, I love what they're doing. Obviously you're doing something different, but you just are super excited by the work and the content that they create.
Absolutely. I would tell you, it's funny. There are people who I've interviewed on the podcast who I've since built relationships with and found tremendous value in what they're doing, and it's fueling me and pushing me on. People like Patrice Washington and Tiffany Sutherland and Rich Jones. I mean, there are other people out there that are doing amazing work. Donald Kelly, that there are other podcasters, there are other media giants, that authors that are doing absolutely amazing things right now, and they just push me on each and every day.
I love it. Okay. And for someone who's listening and they're like, I want a podcast, I want to get into media, what would you say, other than, what we talked about before about having clear purpose and understanding your why, what would be like step one for them?
The thing I tell people that you have to decide on is frequency, right? Because consistency is going to be the key. So if you are going to publish, you need to figure out what you can truly commit to. And you have to really commit to, because the people who put together Game of Thrones, they don't choose that this Sunday night they're not going to drop an episode, right? if the season is on, you know it's coming out on a Sunday night at 9 p.m., you're tuned in at 9 p.m., there best be an episode ready, right? And I think the same goes for your podcast. If you expect people to take you seriously, you have to have consistency and commitment to publishing when you say you're going to publish. And I think that goes a long way. I think a lot of people lose their base to that. And people are subscribing and expecting. In the time I've been podcasting, I have published an episode each and every Monday morning at 5 a.m., except for 2 Mondays, which we disclosed was Christmas and New Year's Day of last year. Beyond that, they know they're getting an episode on Monday at 5 a.m., and it's allowed the podcast to grow. And I think new podcasters need to understand that. Second thing is, you really need to be clear on how you are going to serve value to that base. So it's not just going to be fruitful conversation, right? You actually need to know you are providing them content that's going to help them to get through their challenges and their pain points, or entertain them, or educate them. Like, you need to be clear on whether you're doing a solo episode, a solo podcast, or an interview-style podcast. How are you providing value? And the last thing, you need to be ready to build real relationships, not just solicit and extract what you can get for your own benefit. But I think the true benefit both ways is stepping into this space and understanding that, you are going to build relationships where you try to pour into other people and understand that it will eventually reciprocate and benefit you 10x. But I think those are things that, beyond the technicals, beyond the obvious of how to set up equipment and all that, plus the consistency, the value, and the relationships are huge. And you need to really be clear on those pieces before you step into the podcast space.
Oh, I'm so in love with this conversation. Thank you so much for being very real and very honest and giving people their life and so much more when it comes to understanding what it takes to be successful with building a brand, but also being a person of substance in the public space and in media. So you are listening to Our Voices on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. My name is Natasha Nurse, and my guest today is Stephen Hart, a brand alignment strategist, podcaster, and entrepreneur. Oh my gosh, I wish I had a million hours with you, but I don't. So I do want to first make sure that everyone knows if they want to learn more about the podcast, they want to learn more about Isles Media LLC, Brand You Academy, working with you, where do they go?
Hop on over to my website at StephenAHart.com. Stephen is StephenAHart, Hart. So hop on over to StephenAHart.com, or if you're interested in Brand New, StephenAHart.com/brandview, YOU, and you'll be able to access links to the podcast and Brand You and everything right from there.
Perfect. Okay. And before I get into rapid fire questions, which are just some fun questions, what would you say is next for you? Whether it's the businesses, whether it's the podcast, or a personal milestone that you're going to hit, what's next for you?
We're ramping up Brand You Academy. I find Brand You Academy as the place where I will spend a great deal of time and energy helping entrepreneurs, helping corporate professionals through building their amazing personal brand and their digital footprint. And I think that's somewhere that I really want to live. I'm on a mission right now over the next 5 years to help 10,000 professionals through building their personal brand. So there are a lot of things that will spin off from that mission, with books and speaking engagements and so on. But that mission right now is a real clear focus on building out Brand U Academy.
I love it. I love it. I love, love, love. So I know that people will definitely get a lot of value and a lot of information and content and inspiration that they need to really succeed in their business, in their professional goals that they're setting for themselves. So with that, let's move to some rapid fire questions so people can get to know you a little bit more. So what would be the number one thing on your bucket list?
Visiting South Africa with my wife, Kristen.
Beautiful. Okay. Your favorite place in the world?
Obviously, Jamaica.
Hey, yes. Obviously. But, just letting everyone know. What would be your number one favorite book? It could be for business. It could be just personal reading.
I think for both, Essentialism by Greg McKeown. Phenomenal book.
Interesting. I have to read that. Okay. How do you unwind and relax?
Netflix comedy or date night with a wife or basketball with my daughter.
Beautiful. Okay. And if you weren't, conquering the world and media and branding, you would be fill in the blank.
Professional stay-at-home dad.
Aw, dad. Yes. Okay. And then last question would be, what is something that no one knows about you?
I'm a lefty. I'm left-handed.
Oh, that's so interesting. All right. Well, I'm right-handed, so don't hold it against me. But
lefties have rights, too.
Yeah, very true. I would like to thank my guest, Stephen Hart, brand alignment strategist, podcaster, and entrepreneur, for coming on Our Voices. Thank you so much.
I've had a blast tonight. Thank you so much for having me, Natasha.
Absolutely. And I hope our audience found you both as informative and inspiring as I did. My name is Natasha Nurse. I'm the proud host of Our Voices here on 90.3 WHPC. Our show's creative director is Rudy J. Breedy. Visit nccradio.org. That's www.nccradio.org for more information. This will be available as a podcast on iTunes, Android Podcast, and Spreaker. Our Voices is powered by the Nassau Community College Foundation on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.